Okay, we'll get started. I'll call this meeting to order, the Janesville Community Development Authority regular meeting on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Jennifer, if you could do roll call, please.
Richard Nino,
Here.
Michael Cass,
Here.
Michael Miller,
Here.
Ben Dobson,
Here.
Wendy Baumgartner,
Here.
Sarah Williams,
Here.
Heather Miller,
Here.
all present.
All right, thank you. Numbers 2 and 3 will be approved by consent unless any CDA member wants them pulled for questions or comments. Anything from anybody? Okay, and then we'll move on. Requesting comments from the public regarding items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing and on matters which can be affected by CDA action. Any comments? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. So we'll move on to number 5, presentation by the 2023 CDBG and home funding applicants. And then we'll get into those applicants, but Kelly is going to present first.
Thank you. Kelly Vanessa, Housing Services Director. As you're aware, we've started our 2024 planning process with last meeting's approval of the priorities as outlined in the consolidated plan that was developed in 2020 or right before 2020 for the 2020-2024 consolidated plan. Tonight, we invite members of organizations who had submitted applications for CDBG and or home funding for projects that meet those needs that were identified as high priority in the con plan and recertified last meeting. So tonight, you will hear from 5 agencies for 6 different programs. They will be here to answer any questions that you may have. There's no action required by the CDA this evening. What we prefer that you would do is listen to the presentations, pose any questions that you have to those representatives of those agencies here tonight, and then we have our special meeting next Wednesday at the same time and place in order to make the decisions for funding for budgetary purposes that then would be forwarded on to the City Council for final approval. That ultimately ends up happening November-December timeframe, but we need all of the information ahead of time so that we're able to prepare our budget. We estimate we only have about $90,000 to allocate through CDBG. That's a formula basis, and it is 15% of our anticipated grant next year, along with 15% of our anticipated program income from this year. So it's a lot of guesswork, but we anticipate that it would be about $90,000. That's what you will have to allocate next week when we do the final allocations. We do always have a contingency in that if we end up with more or less, how we work that out without having to come back to this process again. So without further ado, you have all of the agencies here for you, and they're happy to answer any questions. We've asked them to hold their presentations from about 5 to 10 minutes.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to start. We're going to do them alphabetically, so nobody take it personal if you start with a Z. Axe Housing first.
Good evening. My name's Kelly Andrew. I'm the VP of Strategic Partnerships at Axe Housing, and excited to share a little bit about our organization with you. A little bit about me. I actually grew up in Rock County. I graduated from Evansville High School, so it was quite exciting for me to take a leadership role in an organization that was doing work here in Rock County. Axe Housing was founded in 1995 in Milwaukee, right in the city, to help immigrant and refugee families purchase homes and rehab them. At that time, the neighborhood was getting a little rough where we started, and the city and the Catholic parish there came together and said, let's take these city tax foreclosures and help families get into them. So, we began there. We have 4 core programs that we work with. So every family that we work with goes through a homebuyer and financial coaching process. That looks different for a lot of people. Sometimes it's a strictly, virtual process. Many families go with a one-on-one approach so that they can get that more individualized attention. And we also have what we call cohorts, so adding a little more support around families who have more barriers to homeownership. We also have a lending arm. So ACTS Lending has been around for 10 years, and we finance loans for families to purchase and rehab distressed properties. It's a lending product not meant to compete with banks and traditional financial institutions. It's meant to fill a gap where families might not be able to qualify for that type of loan elsewhere. We also have a real estate program. So we have realtors in-house who are incentivized to work specifically with low to moderate income families. Their compensation structure is kind of exactly the opposite of what you might see in a traditional real estate brokerage. So the lower the purchase price that they have for a family, the higher their percentage of compensation is. So we have some really dedicated realtors working in both Rock County and Milwaukee County who are doing this mission work in a way that's really exciting and kind of a change for the industry. And finally, we have home rehab coaches. So for any family who purchases a distressed property and is going to rehab it, that's a huge process that most people have not undertaken before in their life. So our rehab coaches help them look at a scope, figure out if it's within their budget, figure out if they can do some sweat work to get this done, help them really from closing day look at they're sort of their own project manager. So we're helping them look at bids, decide on which contractors they're using, and just making sure that the right things get done in the right order. So roof before cabinets, right? This full scope of programming, like I said, has been around for almost 30 years in Milwaukee, and we've helped over 3,000 families get into homeownership there. Here in Rock County, we actually just started our work in 2019, and that work is really seated in Beloit. The Beloit community came to us and said, we're really interested in what you're doing. We think it could work here. What do you think? And after a couple years of pretty careful deliberation and conversations with the city government, with funders, with other partners there, we said, okay, we can try this. We want to do it really well. And we were able to secure funding for a 5-year fully funded initiative there. The cool thing about this is that it's had a really nice halo effect on Janesville. I have a little handout. This is just a quick impact sheet that'll give you, the top row is actually our total impact in Rock County, and then everything else, the rest of the details let you know the, I would say, unintended but really positive impacts that ACT's work has had in Janesville. In the last year, in 2022, we helped 7 families purchase homes in Janesville, and those are actually without the full services we provide. So those families had homebuyer coaching services and real estate services with ACTS. We haven't yet found the funding to do our lending work and home rehab work across Rock County, but that's sort of why I'm here and why we're dipping our toe into this. So we've had some really nice successes, helped a lot of families get into affordable home ownership. We've invested, those families have invested a lot into the community through their work with ACTS and their ability to access financing, purchase those homes. We deploy down payment assistance grants, so a lot of those families are receiving either the state housing cost reduction initiative grants or other grants that they qualify for. We've had a really strong partner here in Janesville with US Bank. So just a tidbit for you, they, out of last year's 7 closings, they financed 4 of them, so more than half. And really, we are serving your low to moderate income population. So the Janesville specific numbers, again, last year, the average income for a family of 4 was $37,500. So getting into homeownership can be a true investment for a family in a way that they can build wealth. Often it's more affordable than rent. I think you see on your sheet the average monthly payment for those families is around $900. Rents are increasing every year beyond that. So we think it's a great value proposition, and we're hoping to keep working with the Janesville community and helping more families here.
All right, thank you. Any questions from anybody?
Is there an average dollar amount that you are helping families with, or is it just completely based on each individual need?
Are you asking the average dollar amount, like what it costs to support each family, or how much like they're spending on a home?
Well, you said that you're not doing the rehab quite yet.
Right.
But as far as the services go, do you put a dollar amount to that? Is that what the funding would go toward, is for the counseling?
Absolutely. So
and
the homebuyer coaching requires HUD certified homebuyer coaches is what we have in our office. So it's the staffing of those folks. I told you a little bit about this more complex program that we have. It's called the Power Pack, and this is for families who have the most barriers to homeownership. They're able to join us for a year-long, once-a-month cohort program where they get education, but then we're also matching up to $1,000 in savings in an account that they can use for down payment assistance. There's some financial incentives that go along with that. And then with the real estate brokerage, that's, keeping our realtor busy and making sure that she's on top of all of Rock County and not just Beloit.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, just so that this is for professional staffing to be able to offer those services.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Doesn't look like it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Boys and Girls Club is up next.
Hello, good evening. I'm Rebecca Viam. I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club in Janesville. Thank you for the opportunity this evening to talk with you a little bit more about our club and our request for funding for our teen program. Just a real quick background of our mission. Boys and Girls Club exists to inspire and enable all youth, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible community members. We provide a safe space, after-school enrichment, and full-time summer care for kids age 6 through 18 years old. We implement nationally developed evidence-based programs that are proven to produce outcomes in academics, healthy lifestyles, and character development. We are the most affordable provider in our area, ensuring that we provide equitable access to those that we serve. Our teen program costs just $5 for the school year and $5 for the summer. So that means that we really truly are serving those who need us most. Last year, 97% of the kids we served were low income. 51% lived in single parent households, and 47% were youth of color. For the last 2 years now, we've been grateful recipients of CDBG funding that supported our teen programming that serves 6th through 12th graders. We've been providing these youth with opportunities not only to grow academically and socially, but also to prepare them for the workforce. With CDBG funding, we've been able to specifically expand our teen service hours and our workforce development program. As part of our workforce development program, teens explore different careers, in part through CDBG-funded virtual reality goggles, where they get to do simulations of different careers. They go on college tours, and new this summer, we've taken them on some employer field trips. And it's been really exciting for us to really see how this all gets connected for kids. So at the club, they're learning about their different interests and exploring how those align with different careers. And then on the field trips, they're getting to be able to see it in action. So for example, this summer they went to Black Hawk Technical College and they went to the welding campus for an all-day experience where they actually got to weld. My teen manager was a little terrified when they lit up the torches and handed them to our teens. But when they walked into the space, they were so excited to see that they recognized the equipment that they were going to be using from those virtual reality simulations that they have been using. So it was really cool to see them tie that together. Same thing with, actually earlier this week, they went and toured Print. And same thing happened there. They walked into the manufacturing facility and said, this looks just like the virtual reality simulation. So we've been able to really see how those light bulbs come together and everything has been clicking into place for them. But it's so much more than just this workforce development and academics. On a more serious note, it's really about relationship building too. At the core of what we do, it's about building relationships with the youth that we serve. For some of our kids, we might be the only trusted adults that they have. And those relationships can sometimes be life-changing. Now, I've changed names of some of our kiddos, but those relationships have really impacted some of our club members, like Jake. Jake is a 6th grader, going into 7th grade, and last year he was experiencing a lot of bullying at school, and even got jumped in the hall at school. He didn't know how to handle any of this. It was going under the radar as bullying often does, and he started self-harming. And nobody knew. He wasn't sharing this with anybody, and one day at club after school, because of his relationship with our teen staff, he opened up about this, and he shared that he was self-harming. And so staff were able to intervene, contact family, contact the school, get the resources and supports in place for the student to help reduce his self-harm and help reduce the bullying and giving him tools of how to handle those situations. He's going to a new school this coming year in 7th grade, so we're a little excited about that, but a little nervous at the same time. Starting a new school can be really tough, but he will still be coming to club, so he'll still have that stability with us. Another one of our club members, Charmaine, 7th grader last year, started exhibiting some really inappropriate behaviors. I'll spare the details, but she was getting picked on for this at school, and our graduation specialist knew that this was really out of character for the student, and also knew that this was a red flag for sexual abuse. And again, because of this relationship with this teen, she was able to have that conversation, and the teen did share that she was being sexually abused by somebody in the home. And so once again, staff responded immediately, got interventions in place. The person was removed from the home, and as soon as resources were in place for her and she was getting what she needed, her grades immediately started going back up. I know this stuff can sometimes be hard to hear, but this is the reality of what kids are going through, and these are just 2 of the kids that we serve every year. And I share this because it's great to do all the workforce development. It's great to celebrate that 100% of our teens last year completed their grade level and moved on. They increased their math scores, their literacy scores, but none of that will mean anything if they're not physically or mentally feeling safe. And so at the Boys and Girls Club, we really do take those relationships to heart. We can't increase their math and literacy scores if they're being abused. And that they don't have somebody to talk to about this. So we really take pride in focusing on the whole child. Our tagline is "Great Future Start Here." We really truly believe that investing in our youth is the greatest investment that we can make in Janesville. And we appreciate the opportunity to continue to have CDBG funding to support our teen services, and happy to answer questions that you may have about the request.
Thank you. Questions? Only just one question. Is this year-round, the programming?
It is, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was summers only or not, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, year-round. So during the school year, it's after-school hours, but we also do open up for all-day club on days where the parent conferences or teacher development days. We will provide all-day club. That's at no additional cost to our families, and then full-time summer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community action.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric West. I'm the Resource Development Manager for Community Action of Rock and Walworth counties. As I'm sure most of you know, Community Action has been serving the Janesville community for nearly 60 years. Originally founded in 1965 as part of the War on Poverty, we currently offer more than 20 different programs that help people address the barriers they face in overcoming poverty. Our mission is to provide access and opportunity for those we serve and those who support our efforts. Through innovative programs and strong community partnerships, we eliminate barriers, establishing clear pathways to economic self-reliance. The program we speak about tonight, Project Thrive, has a long established history of successful outcomes. Originally known as the Fatherhood Initiative, it has served more than 450 individuals since 2006 and has been funded by CDBG for many of those years. We continue to build community partnerships, seek feedback, and look for ways to improve our service and to benefit even more people with the resources that we have. The expansion in the previous year included women, and that was a big part of our presentation last year. I'm happy to report that expansion has been very successful in its first year. In fact, there has already been one Janesville woman that has completed the program, and there are two women from Janesville currently enrolled in the program as we speak here tonight. As before, Project Thrive targets low to no income parents and older youth aged 18 to 25 who are unemployed and who demonstrate a sincere commitment to establishing long-term employment, as well as an interest in meaningful relationship with their children and their families. Most of our participants have criminal backgrounds and face multiple barriers to success on their pathway to self-sufficiency. Often this includes not just history with the criminal justice system, but also housing concerns, child support obligations, transportation issues, and educational attainment. The program remains unique in its holistic approach to address our participants' issues. An employment-first model is used in coordination with strong emphasis on building healthier relationships and developing hard skills through job training workshops, as well as necessary life skills to manage a household. Our participants are identified through our numerous community partnerships with local and county agencies, other nonprofit entities, and through the communication with the other programs that Community Action offers. One of the most notable here in Janesville is our partnership with the Gifts Men's Shelter. It remains strong and is crucial in reaching our targeted population here in this community. All of Project Thrive's participants undertake a 2-month-long program that uses a variety of evidence-based curricula to achieve the best possible chance of success. Each is connected with a success coach who works to document their progress, maintain needed follow-ups, and provide case management services. The measured outcomes for the program include the expectation that all of our participants complete the full program requirements, which is monitored through attendance, participation, and the accomplishment of their program assignments. We seek a 70% success rate in obtaining and maintaining employment following the program, and we work to ensure all participants maintain compliance with any child support obligations. Beyond that, other overall outcomes are much further reaching as program participants become more self-sufficient and allow for reconnection with their families and their community. This year, we're applying for $10,000 of CDBG funding to support staff time for the recruitment, training, and case management of 20 residents here in the city of Janesville. The benefits are very far-reaching for Janesville, and we continue to maintain a 90% success rate with this program. This ultimately saves a great deal of taxpayer expenses by reducing the burdens of unemployment, the burdens to city and county services, and through the reduction of the recidivism rate. This effort, in this past year especially, has also been vital for our area employers who are struggling to meet the increasing demand for eligible quality employees to fill their staffing needs. And so with that, I am actually joined here tonight by Jamie Pennington, who is the manager for our Project Thrive program, and I am sure that we would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Questions?
Can you explain what a employment first model is?
Yes, so Employment First refers to the fact that when participants come into the program, we focus on the finding a job at the beginning of the program rather than just at the tail end of the program. So employment first, and then continue to build the skills throughout the 2-month period and help them obviously sustain that employment instead of doing it the opposite direction.
Yep, go ahead.
And this is countywide work that you do, or is this more just Beloit, Janesville?
It's available to anybody in the county, but yeah, most of the participants are Beloit and Janesville. Does it also, I think it spreads to Walworth County as well, correct? A few participants in Walworth County as well.
Walworth County, but it's primarily Beloit and Janesville,
Yeah.
but it will do countywide.
Okay.
Other questions?
This might be kind of a weird one. Do you really have people coming in not working, not knowing where to look for jobs?
Yes. Simple answer is yes. That is true.
Do they have a lot of barriers because of their criminal record to obtaining jobs? So a lot of people can get interviews and go to interviews but not pass the background. And does your program work with employers to address those issues?
Yes, we do. Yep. So we actually have several corporate partners throughout our service area. We've built relationships between our program staff and several area employers.
If I may, I would just say that we're again seeing, actually in Janesville, I think if I look 100% of my participants in
Oh,
Janesville.
can you go over to the mic, though, just so we can catch it? Thank you.
Especially in Janesville, I would say 100% of the participants I've worked with in the past year have experienced homelessness. We're dealing with a very rough crowd. There are barriers. We're also seeing more and more connection with mental health issues. So we have actually in the last year become trauma informed. We're doing trauma referrals and identifying that trauma. And so it's more than trauma informed. It's actually, we're doing the TSBIT, which is trauma behavior and referral. So we've actually developed referral agreements with HealthNet as well as Beloit Community Health Services and getting the people in there. So they will get interviews, but they don't get the job, or they do get the job and they're not able to keep it. And it's and then when they look at the job history, they have had 5 jobs in the last 2 years. And as the labor market is getting tighter now than it was 9 months ago, There are still jobs out there, but 9 months ago would be lucky if there was an opening, if they had 1 or 2 people apply. Now there are still jobs out there, but there have been 5 or 6 people apply. So the particularly hard population I'm getting is even struggling even more to get jobs. And then once they get that job, to retain that job. So again, we'll come back in with the mental health. So we actually have a partnership with the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee that is providing the training for us on the trauma informed.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is Echo.
Hello, my name is Jessica Loker. I'm the Executive Director of ECHO. Thank you for, in the past, making housing a priority and for the previous awards for helping us provide housing. I just want to highlight some of our pieces of our application for our 2024 fund request. We are looking to help at least 50 households, which is about 115 people, to secure or maintain safe and stable housing with a projected grant request of $60,000. The $60,000 will be used directly on rent or security deposit assistance. None of it will be used on staffing or other operating costs. ECHO estimates spending another $300,000 through other funding sources, being other grants or donated dollars, to help another 250 households for a total of about 575 people in the next calendar year. With all of our housing and homeless programs, we are projecting that we're going to spend over $500,000 when you add in that staffing and operating costs for our housing programs, which is about 63% of our annual operating budget when you add in the direct assistance plus the operating and staffing services. So 63% of our $1.6 million budget is going towards housing and homeless services because it is a need here in the community. And we really want that to reflect that ECHO supports all of those things. And so we do use a lot of donated dollars towards that service too. Though CDBG funds are very critical though to our rent assistance program, we use no in-kind donations, so it all comes from grants or donated dollars from the community. In 2002, we provided 282 months of rental assistance, 10,553 nights in local motels. And so far this year, since January, we have provided 187 months of rent and 4,093 nights in local motels. Housing is a big need in our community. The Homeless Intervention Task Force annual prioritization meeting that happens every year has consistently had housing in the top 5 needs in Rock County. Also, the current annual report for United Way's Blackhawk region lists housing and shelter services as the top referral for United Way 211. And just a reminder, ECHO again uses all of the CDBG funds for direct payments to our low-income families here in Janesville. We do have many other services that we offer at ECHO, and we use the majority of our staffing is paid for with donated dollars. We do have a few staff that are paid with other government or United Way funding, but the majority of our staff is paid with donated dollars. Also, I want to share a story of one of our participants that we assisted this year. This year, our 2023 grant allowed us $30,000 towards rental assistance, and we finished spending that on June 20th of this year already. But one of our participants that we served, we did change her name for privacy, came to us as a new client back in March. She was a 70-year-old retiree. She'd been working a part-time job along with her Social Security benefits in a medical office to increase her income. In January, she fell at her apartment on the ice on the sidewalk, broke her leg, and was unable to work. She steadily started falling behind on all of her bills, including her rent. And without that part-time income, her Social Security was not enough. So her bills were piling up. In addition to her broken leg, she has been dealing with depression for pretty much her whole life, she said. And not being able to work, falling behind on her bills really made her depression was really hard for her to cope. During her injury, she was unable to care for her dog and had to get rid of him. So not to have that companion of her animal either was not good for her mental health either. So between that, all of that overwhelming stress, she finally reached out to us back in March. We were able to help her in multiple levels. First, we were able to keep her in her home by using CDBG funds to pay for a month's worth of rent. We coordinated with her landlord to do repairs because the reason she fell, because her steps, the railing on her steps was broken. So got that fixed with her landlord. We were also able to enroll her into PATH. That is a program that works with homeless or those at imminently risk at homeless who have a severe and persistent mental illness. It allows us to provide extra case management services to them. So she was enrolled in PATH because she had that eviction notice. And so she was able to get weekly case management services with one of our client advocates. So through those case management services, we were able to work on budgeting, goal setting, encouragement, just even having somebody to come in and talk to deal with her stress and everything, help her get connected to mental health services. And so with all of those things, also with extra donated dollars, you're able to actually help her with another month's worth of rent. And then you fast forward to just last week, she met with her PATH case manager. At that time, they celebrated. She is current on all of her bills. She is back to work. She is going to counseling. So we are super excited, and she's still going to be meeting with that PATH case manager too. But with your funding, we were able to help keep her in that unit, get her enrolled in PATH. So we're very grateful for all of that. As I stated, we've already used all of the $30,000 that we received for this year. So we served 40 households with that funding for 85 people. 55% of them had 0 to 30% county median income. So that's extremely low income. And then another 32% were between the 31 and 50% county median income. And then another 12% were between the 51 and 60%. 67% of our participants this year were paying more than 30% or more than 50% of their gross income towards their rent. HUD standard is 30%. So more than 67 were paying 50% or more of their income towards rent. 52% of them had some sort of mental health or physical disability, and 45% of the households had children. Just some other stats with ECHO. In 2002, we provided over 2.7 million meals. That's a lot of meals, but without people having a place to cook those, cook the food that we're providing, our food program is not super beneficial. So we really need the assistance to maintain people's housing. Also, by helping prevent homelessness or getting people into an apartment is beneficial for the community. It impacts our community. So housing is critical to our health and well-being, but it's also critical to the Janesville community. Studies shown by the National Alliance to End Homelessness has shown a household entering into the homeless system can cost over $31,000 to the community in sheltering, emergency services, daycare costs, police care, all kinds of different things, but over $31,000 for entering into the homeless system. So if we're able to help with 1 or 2 months worth of rent at maybe $1,000 to $2,000, that is way cheaper than having somebody enter into the homeless system. And just again, thank you so much for all of your past support, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
And I know I talk fast, I apologize.
Okay. Questions from anybody?
Just wanted to clarify, this is not a county-wide program, this is specific to Janesville?
So your funding is just Janesville, but our $300,000+ budget for rental assistance is countywide.
Thank you.
Do all your clients, recipients of your aid, also receive counseling assistance as well?
So all of our services include case management services, yes.
Is participation in such a condition of receiving aid from you?
So for our rental assistance, yes, we require case management services. There's at least an hour to 2 hour appointment where we go over all of their budgeting and any other services they may need. So yes, it is required for that.
Is it a one-time meeting?
So for prevention, it typically is, but if there are more needs, we then can set up multiple appointments. Yes.
Of your households served, do you know what numbers come outside of Janesville? We know we receive a lot of calls from Beloit, and I know.
I would say the majority of our households are split equally between Janesville and Beloit, but we do have probably, in an annual year, probably another 60 that are outside of Janesville and Beloit. We do have multiple rental assistance programs. The program that I'm asking funding for is for our prevention program, which is more of a one-time assistance, just 1 or 2 months. And we do have that shorter 1 to 2 hour appointment, but we do have a longer term rental assistance program that's called Rapid Rehousing that takes homeless individuals and families out of homelessness, gets them into an apartment with deposit, first month's rent, monthly case management, where they pay 30% of their income towards that rent. We pay the other portion, is up to 24 months, as long as they're meeting their case plan.
Are you noticing changes in the numbers of people you're serving, or has that been
I would say
stable?
since Community Action's WERA program has ended, we are, during COVID, we did see a little bit of a dip because of Community Action's emergency rental assistance program. Now that that program has ended, we're seeing probably at least 10 to 15 applications a day at minimum for rental assistance.
10 to 15 a day.
Yes. And we, going into other like homeless services, we have over 40 households on our emergency lodging program wait list.
Are you able to help any of the 10 to 15 per day?
I would say the majority of them we are able to help, if either with grant money or donated dollars. As long as they're able to provide all the documentation that we require.
What happens after the 1 or 2 months in which this funding is used?
So we do 6-month follow-ups with our prevention program. So we call the landlord 6 months after the check went out to follow up to see if the tenant is still in the unit. So we consider in the unit and owing, left the unit and current as success, and we're over 60% of our households are that success rate.
All right. Any other final questions? All right. Thank you. All right. HealthNet is up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for granting me the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Claudine Maynor. I'm the Development Director with HealthNet of Rock County, and we are seeking your support for our mission to provide vital healthcare services to the underserved residents of the community. We are requesting $50,000 from the City of Janesville's Community Development Block Grant funds to continue our important work and enhance the well-being of those who rely on us. HealthNet's purpose is clear: to bridge the gap in healthcare access for uninsured and underinsured individuals in Rock County. We are here to serve those who often have no other options for receiving the care they need. HealthNet will use this funding to provide medical, dental, behavioral health services to 550 Janesville residents in program year 2024. In the medical department, we provide specialized care for diabetic patients, chiropractic services for those experiencing chronic pain, and medications for the uninsured. But it's not just about the quantity of service, it's about the quality of service for our uninsured patients. HealthNet is requesting an increase in funding in 2024, enabling the provision of behavioral health services to existing patients within the medical and dental clinics, as well as new patients. While this would not expand the number of patients served significantly, it would increase the number of services each patient receives. When seen in medical or dental, a typical patient may only receive 1 to 5 services. In behavioral health, One patient may receive over 50 visits or services, depending on the severity of their mental health diagnosis. Increasing accessibility for these individuals through additional funding would have significant and meaningful effect on those underserved community members. A significant portion of those we served, 55%, reside right here in Janesville. The pressing need for accessible and affordable health care in our city and county is evident. Our community faces substantial challenges, from a shortage of primary care providers to financial barriers that hinder access to dental care. Rock County's patient-to-provider ratio in 2010 highlights the urgency of addressing gaps in medical services. This is not just about numbers. It is about ensuring the health and well-being of our neighbors and friends. Dental care is of paramount importance, serving as a cornerstone of our mission. Our dental clinic functions as a lifeline for uninsured and underinsured Rock County residents, offering accessible emergency appointments to proactively address dental pain and infections. The demand for such services is strikingly evident, with a staggering 95% of individuals seeking emergency room treatment for oral health issues in 2019 lacking adequate coverage. Moreover, our clinic is committed to bridging additional gaps in dental care. In October 2022, we took a crucial step by initiating tailored dental services for individuals with developmental disabilities, an essential area that has been overlooked for far too long. Building on this commitment, we extended our offerings in January 2023, now capable of providing comprehensive treatment plans encompassing dentures, partials, and crowns. This expansion aligns seamlessly with our overarching objective of addressing broader healthcare needs, recognizing that oral health significantly influences mental and physical well-being, employability, and overall quality of life. The pressing need for behavioral health services cannot be ignored anymore. Many residents struggle to afford or assess mental health care, compounded by a shortage of mental health providers. The alarming rates of opioid-related issues and high suicide rates underscore the urgency of expanding these services. By providing medical, dental, and behavioral health care, HealthNet of Rock County tackles this critical need and fills significant gaps in service provision. We recognize that there are other healthcare options available, but we are unique in our commitment to minimizing financial barriers for care. Our medical clinic does not charge for any visits, medication, or labs. Our dental and behavioral health clinics ensure that patients are not refused based on their ability to pay. Our sliding fee scale, affordable for those with limited means, demonstrates our dedication to providing equitable healthcare services. We are seeking your support to continue this vital work. Your investment in HealthNet of Rock County will have a ripple effect on the lives of hundreds of individuals, families, and on our community. Our request for $50,000 from the CDBG funds will allow us to enhance the number and quality of services we provide. It will enable us to make a more profound impact on the lives of those who rely on us for their healthcare needs. Together, we can address critical community needs, bridge gaps in service provision, and create a healthier, more vibrant Rock County. I implore you to consider the impact of your support and the lives we can touch with this funding. Let us come together to ensure that every member of our community has access to the care that they require and deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions?
When you say expand the number of services the clients utilize or they receive, are you expanding like what you guys provide in care, or what someone can see them in, like what a medical professional can see them in a day for?
A little bit of both. So when we moved into our new facility October of last year, we significantly increased the accessibility and the number of providers that we have in-house, thus increasing the services that we're able to provide. And that's been answered in the fact that, not to sound cliche, but we opened the doors and they came.
What's the number one service that you see a need for that you guys don't have?
that we don't have?
Yeah.
Adequate mental health care for sure. I mean, we have mental health care, but it's not enough. There's a shortage of mental health care providers in the area.
Any questions? I just have one question. The behavioral health piece, how is that different than what's offered at a private agency or like at a county level? So is it actual therapy at HealthNet, or is it more case management, social work?
We have both. So in our behavioral health clinic and in medical, we have a case manager. So our behavioral health is more of a resource/case manager. She meets with every patient that comes in to go over their needs, whether it's financial, housing, so that we can provide resources. Not that we give them an answer, because obviously, as everybody's talked, resources are scarce. But she meets with them, and then they go into the therapy sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you. All right.
Ben, can I just introduce the home application process? Because I think I did a poor job of that when I first went out there, if you
Yes,
don't mind.
thank you.
That's why Jennifer was giving me the weird looks. You were. So, those were your CDBG applicants. That was that formula I was talking about where we have about $90,000 in order to disperse. This last application is a little bit different. It's under our home program. The home program is intended primarily as a vehicle to develop or improve affordable housing. As you're aware, the City of Janesville partners with the City of Beloit and Rock County to form the home consortium. We all work together. As part of that grant, we're required to utilize at least 15% of the grant that we receive on an annual basis towards a community housing development organization. I had to look that because we always call it a CHODO. So 15% of our grant has to go towards a CHODO. There's no cap on that. We could always spend more. When we invested that CHODO, it's countywide. Sometimes it's in Janesville, sometimes it's in Beloit, sometimes it's in Rock County, sometimes it's in multiple jurisdictions. So home funds are distributed, like I said, countywide. Jennifer and representatives of that consortium met last Friday to go over this application. It is the only one that we received this year for the CHODO funds. Application was submitted to us. They had that discussion and ultimately agreed to recommend funding for this project. With Beloit, because it's a Beloit project, would make up the difference with their own home funds. So this one is different. It doesn't fall under that $90,000 cap. I just didn't want you to be concerned when you hear the presentation. In addition, she did have a really great slideshow ready for you. I can send that out to all the CDA members because we're not going to be able to see it tonight.
Perfect. All right.
I was going to wow you with pictures and let them explain it all for me, but that's not going to happen, so I'm going to have to read. Thankfully, I have it on my phone, my PowerPoint, so thank you. My name is Laura Laux. I am the Deputy Director at Community Action of Rock and Walworth Counties, and I am going to just share with you a little bit about our Beloit Fresh Start program. So Fresh Start is an innovative and effective education and job training program to serve at-risk youth. The program provides opportunities to youth to help themselves while helping others in their community. 361 students have graduated from Beloit Fresh Start since 2006. Fresh Start students typically live in low-income housing in neighborhoods where drugs, alcohol, police interaction, and violence regularly occur. 26% of incoming youth have had some form of contact within the criminal justice system. Others live in families that have exhibited 2 or more risk factors or barriers. Our class of 2023 was our largest class yet, with 43 of 46 students graduating with a high school diploma. Those students do receive a high school diploma from Beloit Memorial High School. So while they are enrolled in our Youth Build program, they're re-enrolled into the school district of Beloit, and they do receive that high school diploma. So our request was for construction costs. So part of the time that our students are enrolled in our program, they're doing academics to earn that high school diploma. And then the other half of the time, they are working on a construction site, building a home. We do a new construction. Years ago, we did rehabs, and let me tell you, new construction is easier and sometimes less expensive. So that's what we've been doing. I believe this request will be our 6th new construction for the Beloit Fresh Start program. And this year, so these funds would be for our 24-25 cohort, but we're just wrapping up one project right now in Beloit. Typically, we focus in the Merrill community. We're finishing up one 2-bedroom single-family home right now. Our next project will be a 3-bedroom single-family on Prairie Avenue, and then these funds would be for the project after that. So we are now trying to get on a one build per academic year, so that a group of students can see that process through from start to finish. So be involved in that entire process of construction from the beginning to the end. So we have an in-house construction trainer who basically serves as our general contractor, gets everything kind of set up. We do use professionals to do, electrical, plumbing, those types of things. But we do try and work with local contractors who are also going to be willing to work directly with our youth while they are installing those mechanicals to give them that experience. In working in the trades, that's the goal, is to also give these youth that experience of the construction industry, and hopefully lead to youth apprenticeships or later on apprenticeships in the construction trades. So this would be where I show you the pictures of our youth and the construction, in process. I even included a picture of a snowman because when we had our polar vortex last year, we had youth outside. It was 1 degree, and not their favorite time of year on the construction site, but it really is a great experience, not only for community action staff to see the difference in students when they first come in our door to when they graduate. There's nothing better than graduation ceremony at the end of the year. It's amazing. Just this week we started mental toughness. So when we take applications in the spring, we had over 100 applications this year for Fresh Start. We invited 64 youth to participate in mental toughness, which they started on Monday, and then that's 2 weeks. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, we'll select the 40 youth that we're going to select to enroll in our program. So they will start, we work on the school year calendar. So when Beloit doesn't have school, typically our youth don't have school. But it's a different setting. For whatever reason, the youth that we serve were not successful in the traditional educational setting, and we offer something different, something hands-on, more tailored to meet their specific needs, and hopefully give them some exposure to in-demand work, that when they graduate, they're going to have the tools to be successful in employment. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I hope that you will send out the pictures, because the house is also beautiful. So
All right, questions?
Do you track what the graduates do following the program, if they do go into the trades or continue on to schooling for trade work?
We do a year of follow-up. I don't have that information with me, but I could certainly provide it to Kelly. Yeah, so our students are technically enrolled for a year, and then we do have annual follow-up after that. So our contract with the Department of Labor is a 3-year contract, so it's 2 cohorts, so 2 different school years, and then 1 year of follow-up for each of those cohorts.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And thank you, everybody. All right, so then we will move on to just Neighborhood and Community Services Director's Report.
You want to do it over here?
Yeah.
Because I'm not, I'm hoping the audio recorder will catch you.
She's quiet.
As long as this thing has still got some juice on it.
The only thing that I did want to mention to CDA members, you may have noticed that I'm sitting on that end of the dais, and usually that's not the case. We did have a resignation with our staff, our housing staff, and Carrie Clark, a long-term employee with the city, did accept a new opportunity with Rock County. So we are currently in the process of reviewing that job description, and we'll be posting that position to refill. But in the meantime, you will see Kelly and I continue to see Kelly and I at these meetings, and you'll be receiving your agenda materials from our administrative assistant, Jackie Evans. And if you have any questions or anything that comes up in between meetings, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Similarly, if you know that you are not going to be able to attend a CDA meeting, we do appreciate if you can let us know. If we hear that 2 members know they won't be here, we will do a quorum check calls, but otherwise we don't take the time to do those quorum calls for every meeting. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anything? Nope.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then CDA announcements. Announcements are limited to CDA member activities, memorials, and non-political community events. Discussion of matters related to government business is prohibited. Any announcements? All right. Then we just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we do a voice vote, or can I say all those in favor? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right,